Hello everyone. So today we'll start with session 3. Previously we have seen in session 1 line command. In second session we have gone through rectangles, circles and slots. Now we will start with arc command. In arc we will see all the three types of arc. So to start with arc, first we will see center point arc. So to start with center point arc, you have to select origin as a center. As the name suggests, it will start from center point. Then we have to give start point as a second point and third point as an end point. So the 3 points were center, start and end. Now to define the sketch, we will draw 3 construction lines here as we have done in arc slots also. We will draw 3 lines here. We'll make this line as construction. Now the center line is not defined as the color of the line is not coming as black color, so we can say that it is underdefined. So we'll select the line and say as relation make vertical. After making the line vertical, we'll go for the angles. Now you can see by mistake I have selected the end point or midpoint of the line. So it is not possible to give angle between line and point. So you have to avoid this kind of errors. Again I will escape and select the line command for the second selection and put up the angle as 30 degrees here. Do same for the second line and I'll put up the value as 60 degrees here. Now to define this radius, first we have to give the value here. We'll see the radius as 90, but still the endpoints of the arc are not defined. You can see the color as blue. So that's why we have made these lines. We will put up the relation here between point and line and say as coincide. Again, same thing we'll do here also. We'll put up the relation between point and line and say as coincide. So the arc is completely defined. In center point, there is an advantage that you can control the center point location. The second type we're going to say is 3-point arc. In 3-point arc, the drawback is we can control the 3 points first, second and third. But the center point here, we cannot control the position of center point. So we have to define it from origin only. So I'll define it from origin. I'll say vertical distance first and then apply the second horizontal distance, that is x distance. Now after putting the x and y values, I'll put up the radius value for the arc. I'll say it as 120 mm. And now you can see the 3-point arc is completely defined. We will see one more sketch here. We will draw one circle. Again one more circle here. Put up the values here. First I'll put the outer circle diameter as 400 and then the second circle as 300. There is 100 mm difference here and I will draw 2 lines from quadrant points of both circles. First this line and second from the internal circle's quadrant point, and I will connect both the points here and provide one distance also. I'll say the smart dimension distance for the upper line as 600 mm. Now the sketch is completely defined. I'll put up and trim the entities here. Okay. Now you can use arc here to provide one fillet or sharp radius here. So to put up the value, so put up the arc, I'll go for 3-point arc. And first point I will get on line, second on circle and third on mid portion so as to orient the arc. And then I'll put up the tangencies at both the ends of arc. I'll select arc and circle first and say tangent. Then again second selection I'll take it as again the same arc and line, again tangent. You cannot put all the 3 entities at one time for tangency. You have to use the pairing option, that is first you have to pair it with line, then you have to pair it with arc. After that, we have to give radius here. Provide one radius also here. I'll say it as 60, and then I'll trim the entities here. Now you can see we have utilized 3-point arc here to make this profile in such a way. So this was 3-point arc command. Other command in arc types is tangent arc. For tangent arc, we'll take one line here, and at the end point of line, after giving the length, we'll start with tangent arc. So I'll put up the length as 600 mm and go for tangent arc here. In tangent arc, you have to select one endpoint. It is compulsory to start with endpoint only. You cannot start it from blank space here. So I'll first click on this endpoint and drag the arc. Now I'll put up the relation here as horizontal so as to define the endpoint of the arc here. After putting the value, I'll put up the value first. You can see that arc is completely defined. And the advantage of taking tangent arc is that when you start the arc from any point, endpoint, it will by default take tangency here. You can see here that this arc is tangent with line. So this was arc with tangency or tangent arc. So the next command we are going to see here is polygon command. We'll start with polygon command here. You have to decide the number of sides you want. I'll take it as 6 only here. Then there are two types of polygon, inscribe and circumscribe. I will go with inscribe circle first. So I'll start with clicking on the origin point, then clicking on the other side. To define this polygon, I have to give the diameter of the circle first. I'll put up the diameter as 300. And then to stop this rotational movement, I'll give one relation here. Depending on orientation of polygon I require, it may be in horizontal at upper side or at pointed side. So I'll take a horizontal upper side and put the relation on this line as horizontal. Now you can see that polygon is fully constrained by giving one dimension and only one relation to any side of the polygon. Now to understand the difference between circumscribe and inscribe, again I will make one more polygon here with same diameter, but this time I will take polygon as circumscribe and number of sides 6 only. After making the polygon, I will define its origin position first. I will say horizontal from origin here, and then x distance, as y distance is 0, I will put 400 here as a x distance. Now the position is completely defined. You just have to put up the diameters here. I will say equal diameters for both the polygons. I'll add equal relation here, and then I'll stop this movement also. Same as previous, I'll set this line as horizontal. Now both the hexagons are made, but you can see the difference between size here. As we were having 300 diameter for both the circles, still the polygon sizes are different. It is because in inscribed circles or inscribed polygons, the distance of this radius, as the diameter is given, the distance of the radius is measured from center to side. We'll measure the distance again. You can see here, this distance is coming as 150, half of this diameter. But in circumscribe, this distance is not measured between point and side, it is measured between point and corner. You can see here, the distance 150 is coming between side and corner, not between side and side. So this is the main difference between inscribe and circumscribe, whether you want to make polygon with center to side distance or we have to make polygon from center to corner distance. The next command we will see here is fillet and chamfer. For that I need one rectangle here, so we'll draw center rectangle here. While putting the dimensions for rectangles, it is better to give the dimension between sides instead of line. I'll put one value here for width as well as for heights, and I'm going to put these values between sides. Instead of selecting lines, it is better to select sides to give the values. It is such because if you trim the corners, still the sides are fully defined. They don't become underdefined here. Now to put up the fillet, go for fillet command and select, either you can select point or sides. I'll select the point and put up the fillet value here as 80 mm. I'll increase the value here. We will say as 200 mm. And also select the other point here. Now there are two options here, keep constrained corners and dimension each fillet. I'll go with keep constrained corners here first and say it as OK. Now you can see one fillet is here at both the ends. The value for the fillet given is 200 radius. So if I want to change the radius here for this side, on right side, I'll say it as 300. But you can see both the values are changed for both two fillets. It is because we have not selected that dimension each fillet option. Now we will go for that option also here. Again we will go for fillet and select this option here, dimension each fillet, and then put up the values here and say OK. You can see individual dimensions appeared for both the fillets. We can update individually now. I'll say this value as 400 and it will not affect the other side fillet. This value is updated, but still this value is remaining 200 here. But on the other side, if I update this value as 100, the second side fillet will also get updated. This was difference by putting on the option as dimension each fillet. After fillet, we will go for chamfer command. We'll delete this rectangle now and start with another rectangle here, and we'll say center rectangle again. Put up the dimension here, width and height in between sides only now. So I'll put this as 3000 mm, and here also I'll say it as 3500. Now there are two types of chamfer here. We'll go for chamfer command. First one is angle and distance, second is double distance command. So we'll go with angle and distance command here, and we will put first the distance, the value of distance. I'll put it as 120 mm, and then I'll go for angle. I'll put the value as 30 degrees. So in similar order we will select the lines. So whatever first selection I'll make, the distance value will apply here, and for the second selection only the angle value will be applied. It is compulsory for all softwares to go with this order only. So I'll select the first line here as vertical line. So the distance 120 will apply on this line, and then for angle I'll select the horizontal line. Now zoom out this. You can see here the distance is applied for 120 from vertical line and angle on horizontal line. It depends on selection. Whatever first selection we will make, distance will be applied, and second selection the angle will be applied. I will undo and again select the lines. I will select the horizontal line this time first and then the vertical line. So you can see distance is applied on horizontal line and then angle on vertical line. Second selection will be for angle always. So I'll say OK now, and now this chamfer is complete by using angle and distance method. Now we'll go for double distance method. Again we will select the chamfer command and say double distance, and of this equal distance now, so as to put different distance values here. So for distance 1 d1 I will say it as 200, and for distance 2 I will say at 350 the values. Now as soon as I select the lines, for distance 200 I will select the line vertical. Whatever line I will select first, the distance 200 will be applied there. Distance d1 will be applied for there, and on the other side I will select this horizontal line, and distance 350 will be applied on this line. You can see here 200 and 350. So whatever selection we make, first d1 will be applied for the first selection and d2 for the second selection. You can undo here and put up the values again. Now again I will select the d1 here for vertical and then d2 for horizontal. You can see the difference. Now the values are flipped. Here the vertical is 200 and horizontal is 350. We will see says that OK. Now the third type in chamfer, we'll select the chamfer command again and put on the equal distance value here and say the value as 300 or 350 here, and just click on the point here. You can see the chamfer is been made by equal distances. Here the red colored symbol is showing that both the distances are equal for chamfer, and we'll say OK here. This was the chamfer command. Either you can go for angle distance, or you can go for double distance or equal distance. Now we'll go for offset command here. So for making offset, I will draw two lines here, first and second. I'll give one relation here, make it as vertical, and put up the length here as 500. Now I'll put up the same value by saying equal relation for the other line also. Now go for offset command and select the line. As soon as you select the line is appearing in yellow color, showing that this is the offset line here, and the offset distance is taking as 30 mm. I will put the 50 mm value. Now for chain selection, I will select the option chain, select chain. Now you can see both the lines are getting offset by the 50 mm. Suppose if you want to reverse the direction, you can go for reverse direction. Suppose if you want to offset both the lines on both first and second direction, you can go for bi-directional option. We will see the bi-directional option here. Select the lines and say bi-directional. You off only one sided will be get offset, and you can reverse the side by clicking the reverse option on both sides. You can close the ends of the lines by selecting cap ends and closing it by arc either or by lines. Both the options are available here to close the object so as to make them extrude and all. Other than this, you can make the base geometry as construction by clicking on this option. So the base geometry will convert into construction line. Suppose if I off this option and make offset as geometry, then this offsetted line will be get converted into construction line. So it is optional. If you want to use the construction line also, you can go for that and say OK. If you want to change the value here, double click on the value and say, I'll say it as 100 mm now. So this offset distance becomes 100 here. You can update the values later also. Next command we are going to see here is ellipse command. So we'll start with origin. We'll click the second point here and third point here. By clicking these 3 points, you can draw the ellipse. To give the dimensions, you have to give major and minor axis here. So I'll put up one major axis and one minor axis. Also, we need to give relations here so as to stop this rotating movement. So to stop this movement, I'll give relation between origin and horizontal point. The relation will be horizontal here. I will undo the command, and again I can put here the relation as vertical by selecting the points horizontal and origin and saying them vertical instead of horizontal, so as to have this kind of orientation. Then one more possibility is that you can make this ellipse inclined. So for inclination, you have to put two lengths here. I'll put the two construction lines here, first and second. Put up the angle. I'll take the angle as 50 degrees here, and then coincide this point on the line. You can see the ellipse is made inclined by 50 degrees with origin. Second type of ellipse is partial ellipse. We'll start with partial ellipse by clicking on center point, then second point and third point it will start, and you can end at any point you require. The method will be same for defining this ellipse also by giving major and minor axis. So I'll give the major axis first, then put up the minor axis. Then apply the relation here. You have to apply both vertical and horizontal relations here. So I'll start with vertical and horizontal. Then again giving these 3 points as vertical. You can see the ellipse is defined. This was the ellipse command. Now the next command we are going to see here is spline command. So to start with spline command, I will select the command, give the start point, and then we will just click on the points and complete the spline. So whatever points we have clicked here, You can control the positions of splines by dragging these points. You can also control these splines by these ordinate points. You can see a diamond point. One line also there has been appeared, so you can give the relations to that lines so as to constrain it in vertical or horizontal positions. Other thing for controlling the splines you can do is right click on the spline and say display control polygon. Here you can control the positions of spline by dragging these polygon points. You can also convert these splines in style spline by right click and saying them to convert to spline. Say yes. And now the splines are converted into style splines. The next type, the second type of spline you can see here. You just have to control the points of the lines here, and we'll not have the splines as a grip points, so we'll only control by these points here. No grip point will appear on spline here. This was the spline command. It is used in guide curves as well as in making intricate shapes for surfacing. Now we will see the trim command. For that I have drawn some sketches here. So to start with trim command, I'll select command and say power trim. In power trim, you just need to drag the sketches you want to trim, and it will trim till it get intersected by any other entity. Even the last portion you can trim here. If the single line also remains, you can trim that line also here. Next, second option given here is corner trim. So for corner trim, we'll draw one sketch here. Then select the sides of the sketch, and you can see that these extra lines will be trimmed. I'll select corner trim here and then select the sides. The extra corners will be trimmed. You can also trim in a simple way as we do in AutoCAD by using trim to close command. After applying trim to close command, you just need to click on the objects you want to trim. Instead of dragging, we will click on the objects and the objects will get trimmed. Next option here is extend command. So for extend command, I will draw one line here. Now I need to extend this line till this support. So I'll go for extend command and just click on the line at once. You can see that this line is extended till support. Again when you click, it will extend till next support. But further there is no support. Then if I click on this line, one note will appear showing that the element cannot be extended any further. Say OK. Now this was trim and extend command for you. We'll end this session here. Thank you.